Hello, everyone. My name is Emily from Miss Emily Teaches, and today we are going to be talking about using vocabulary in math. So a lot of students will be thinking about, why is this important? Why do I have to know all these vocabulary words? This is math class. I thought we were dealing with numbers, and I can totally see where that comes from, but vocabulary is so important in whatever subject that you're working with. Um, so if you don't know the words, if you don't know what we're talking about, you're not going to understand what to do. Okay, so we're going to go over some simple strategies today. We're just going to have a quick session on why vocabulary in math matters. Um, if you understand the words that we're using in math, you're going to be able to solve those problems. If you're looking through word problems and you don't know what word signals how, if we're saying, okay, how much more, um, what what are we going to do? Are we going to subtract? Are we going to add? Are we going to multiply? Or are we going to divide? We need to know what that means. And that might not be a vocabulary word. Maybe it's a phrase that we're going to be using, but that is going to be really important. Hello, how are you? Thanks for popping in. Um, so if you have anything to share about vocabulary in math, please feel free to drop it in the comments. Good to see you. Um, Math tests, and if you're using a textbook in your curriculum, it's going to be using some very specific math wording. And if you don't know what that means, if you're teaching your child or working with your child and your student doesn't know what that means, it's going to leave you frustrated and confused and probably upset with math. And that is something that I don't want to happen. I want everyone to be able to enjoy math. So we need to understand what those words mean. So a tip that you can use as a parent or a teacher when you're working with building some math vocabularies, try to use the math words in your everyday language. So here's an example. It sounds a little confusing, but here's an example. So let's say you're at the store and you're working with your fourth grader who's doing some word problem additions, or maybe you're teaching them how to use money. You are going to say, if we combine these two prices, how much will it cost? So instead of just saying add, use the word combine. The word combine should signal to your student, okay, we're going to add. And if they don't catch that, you can kind of walk them through that. But that's another word or another way that you can do that. Um, Another thing that you can do, especially if your child's a visual learner, we had a visual, auditory, and kinesthetic learner video a few weeks back. If you want to check that out and see which learner you are or what learner your child might be. But visual learners will do really well with like word walls. So if you're a homeschool parent, maybe you have a poster that you could hang up and take down depending on how your homeschool is set up. But put words that are hard to understand, like quotient or difference or product, other signal words that you might need for word problems. Put those on your word wall, and then you can see them daily. You can talk about them daily. You can go through those. Flashcards would be another good way. Go through just math vocabulary flashcards. You can order some online. You can make them yourself. Kind of whatever you'd like to do there. This one is for our kinesthetic learners. Act out the vocabulary words. So if it's greater than or less than, use body movements. So for greater than, you might stretch your hands out. For less than, you might put your hands together. And you can act those out. I do not have a large library of hand motions with vocabulary words. So if you have any tips or tricks on those, I'd love to hear about what you do. Next, we're going to be connecting some of these vocabulary words to our real life. For example, if you're learning about perimeter or area or volume, look for things around the house, look for some things outside that you could do that with. So for example, if you're learning about fractions, you could use pizza slices or slices of cake or slices of pie, anything like that, and then you physically cut them and you can divide them out. Another great idea would just be to play some quick math games with your kids. They're fun. Sometimes they don't realize that they're learning, and you can just play matching games. You could have some problem solving games in there, anything like that. So just kind of a quick recap is going to be math vocabulary does matter. If you don't know what these words means, if your kids don't know what these words means, they're not going to do well. So take the time. I know it's a lot of setup, but take the time to set up those math vocabulary words, and you'll see the success later. All right, I do have something that is coming up to kind of help with this. If you are interested in having your child participate in a 3-day boot camp to help with test anxiety, to help with math vocabulary, and cover some quick math tips. I have that coming up April 16th, 17th, and 18th. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments and I will reach out to you so that you can get signed up. Thanks for joining today. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. Have a good day.